Welcome back to the 5% Club. I'm Shayla King, a former C-suite executive turned business and life coach. And this is the podcast for leaders who want it all. The promotions, the paychecks, and luxurious amounts of time for the things that matter most. Each week, I'm going to teach you from my performance and happiness formula what it takes to rise to the top without burnout and overwhelm. Work less, make more, and design a life you love. That's what we do in the 5% Club. Let's go. Welcome back to the 5% Club podcast. I'm Shayla King, your favorite performance and happiness coach for female executives. And if you missed it, we just held our Promotion Playbook webinar. Inside of it, I explained exactly why leaders get stuck in middle management, and I explained the concept of the tragedy of the high performer. If you missed it, this is your chance. The replay is here, my loves, and I'm setting it up for you right now. We are opening the doors for the PH Lab March 7th through 12th, and you can actually pre-enroll and get a bonus with me to be able to have a strategy session before the lab ever begins. So go to shaylaking.com/PHLab to secure your spot. And if you want to have a decision call with me beforehand, there are limited spots available where we can get on, talk about your unique situation, and make sure the lab is the right move for you. Bottom line, if you want to be a high-performing and happy executive, there's no better room for a woman in corporate to be in. We lift each other up. You learn all of the necessary skills and the mindset to allow you to get to the next level with less stress, less pressure, and make it fun. Feel alive again. All right, you'll learn it all now in this webinar. Enjoy. I hope to see you in the lab. Hello, and welcome to the Promotion Playbook. If I haven't met you before, I am Shayla King, your new favorite performance and happiness coach. Today, I'm walking you through the Promotion Playbook. This is the 4 reasons that leaders get stuck and the 4 strategies to break through. So I was a C-suite executive myself, and I led training and leadership development. I've been in the room where execs are promoted, and I've trained thousands of executives. So I know exactly why some leaders get chosen and others don't. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. So you might be here for a variety of reasons. You might want more visibility, more pay, and more opportunity without burning yourself out. One of the things that we do in the 5% Club, it is designed because everyone wants to get to the top. Everyone wants to be in the top 10% of performers and of earners. But tell me if this is true for you. Half the people at the top are miserable. So instead of wanting to get in the top 10, we call it the 5% Club because we're doing it different over here. We're doing it where you still get all of the success, all of the money, but while being insanely happy. And that's what the 5% Club is. You might be here because you want that more visibility, you want more pay, or you want more opportunity without burning out. You might be here because you're great at your job, but you feel like you're stuck in middle management. And we're going to specifically talk about why people get stuck in middle management today. Or you're balancing constant pressure at work with family responsibilities, and it just feels unsustainable. I have so many people talk to me about wanting more, but feel like they're already in survival mode, already being stretched too thin. So give me a 5 if any of these relate. Or you just know that you are meant for more, but you're not sure how to get there. So when I work with one-on-one clients, it's very intimate. We talk about all of your thoughts and feelings and why you're having the results that you're having. And so I wanted to share with you some of the things that you may resonate with that you might think, but never want to admit out loud. One of the common ones is I'm taken advantage of at work and at home. I'll never catch up. Or you know what? Promotions go to the guy who's buddies with the leader. Or I'm so effing exhausted. Or this one, really hit me. And I think that it is so relatable. It's the idea of walking home into your front door and after a really long, hard day and just thinking, please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me. And you're just asking your family that you love and want to be with for a little reprieve because it's been so stressful. And then we often get into cycles of feeling guilty about that because this is who we want to give our best to, but we feel like we're giving scraps. So if any of these feel familiar, give me a 5. I'll take you through a couple more. Is it really possible to be an executive and a good mom? I get that question a lot. And I personally thought that I could only get to a director level and I could never go beyond a director level and be a good mom. Has anyone else had that belief before? Yeah. And so what I found out, and it's great news for all of us, is that it actually gets easier at the top. And I'll take you through how today. Another one, a lot of people come to me wondering, like, should I just take a step back? Like, obviously, this is too much and it's chaotic. Maybe I should just take a step back and give back more to my family and just find something that's more reasonable. My old boss used to say that she wanted to take a step back. And in our cafeteria at work, we had a lady who worked next to the soup, and her only job was to say, "Do you want to roll with that?" And then hand you a roll if you say yes. And she's like, "That is the amount of decision making I would love to have in my job." Does anyone relate to that? If so, give me a 5. A lot of people say like Walmart greeter too as another example of that. And then the other one that we get a lot is, why can't I just be happy with a good enough life? And for a lot of us ambitious women, we have people in our lives who don't understand our ambition. And they think somehow that it's greedy. They think somehow that it's selfish. And so they always just say, like, God, you have it so good. Why can't you just be grateful? Have you ever heard that one before? Yeah. And then finally, they're going to realize I'm not as good as they think. So sometimes we get the promotion and we have people believe in us, but we always feel like it's not solid. We always feel like it could be taken away from us at any time. And so I just want you to know, if any of these are ever thoughts that you've had on the inside, you're in the right place. This is exactly how women are feeling when they come to me, and I know exactly how to help you with it. All right. So here's how I know. I was in middle management. I had the American dream. I had I was married, I had 2 kids, 2 dogs, everything but the picket fence. We were both global business leaders, that dual income family track that's so common these days, and I had everything on a piece of paper. And my friends, I was exhausted and overwhelmed and not taking care of my health. And I kept getting diagnosed with autoimmune disease after autoimmune disease, and this was in my late 20s. And one day I woke up and my arm was frozen like this. It wouldn't move at all. And so I dropped my girls off at daycare and I went into the doctor, and he looks at it and he said to me, God, this is bad. I can't even figure it out. Can you go lay down in the exam room? I got to see another patient. I'm going to do some research and I'll come back and we'll figure out how to treat this. And so I said to him, "Okay, sure. But here's the thing. I have a presentation. I have like a really important meeting. And so I just have to go run and do a presentation real quick and I'll be back." My arm's still frozen. And y'all, he looked at me like I was a little green alien. And so I went. I don't know if you guys have ever had this before, where you have a certain meeting that you feel like this is the meeting. If I don't make this meeting happen, it's like a career limiting move. If I don't do good in this meeting, in this moment, it's going to ruin my chances for them to see that I have potential. It's going to let somebody else get ahead and get that next role. Give me a 5 if anyone's ever felt that kind of pressure, that this one meeting, this one moment, this one presentation matters that much. Yeah. So I left, I went to work, I grabbed like a manila folder and I held it over my arm, hoping that nobody would notice that it wouldn't move. And I went back to my doctor that day and he gave me a shot. It still wouldn't loosen up. And he looked at me in the eye and he said, "Shayla, if you do not slow down, you will die." And I remember that day still like it was yesterday. I drove home just thinking about it on repeat and just bawling. And at the time, I was going through a divorce. And I remember thinking, like, I'm what my daughters have. They can't lose me. And I'm also the breadwinner. So is anyone here the a breadwinner in their family? We are at a point in history where we have the first female breadwinners, often in an entire family's lineage. So let me know in the chat if you're the first female breadwinner ever. You can do a 5, you can just tell me yes. Um, and if you are responsible for helping take care of your family's income, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, right? And so I went to pick up the kids, and before I grabbed them, I had both hands on the steering wheel, and I was just bawling. And I promised myself in that moment I would find another way because it was so important to me that my daughter saw that women, just like men, could have amazing careers and be extraordinary parents. And at the same time, I had never met a woman who did all three of these things. And tell me if you know lots of these women or if it's rare for you as well that are extraordinary at their careers. So let's call it top executives that are extraordinary mothers. And here's the kicker and love their life and are healthy. I had met a few women that had more career success than me and were great moms, but they were exhausted. They were thinking they were going to get reprieve when their kids go to college, right? And so that day in that car, I made myself a promise, and it was to figure it out so that my daughters had more options, so that my daughters knew what was possible, and so that I could be that role model for them. So I began obsessively studying what makes some people more successful than others, happier than others, and healthier than others. And what I discovered actually made everything so much easier as I went to the top. So here's a little bit afterwards. I ended up, this is after I learned what I call now the performance and happiness formula. And I ended up leading global mergers and acquisitions for a $7 billion company. I'm just a little girl from Kansas with no connections and no Ivy League degree, right? Um, I worked less while making more than I ever had. I kept thinking like this is not going to work. They're going to find me out. This can't continue. I never missed a child's birthday for a work trip. Now, I chose what was most important to me, and for me, that was a deal breaker. I won't ever travel, and that's hard with M&A, on my kid's birthday, but I would travel on my own. And one of the best birthdays I ever had was in Mexico at a team meeting. They brought me a little gluten-free cake and had a mariachi band play, right? So we get to decide those things and like what are the ones that are those core memories and those core moments for us that we want to have. I used it as well to simplify other areas of my life. I lost 30 pounds and I kept it off. This is a story for another day, but I survived stroke, seizures, coma, and heart failure with a grateful attitude that I only learned from this process. I made it to the C suite before I was 40. I have luxurious amounts of time for myself and my family. All of my clients come in and go, like, that's so silly that you can say luxurious amounts of time. And then they get it and they love it. It's like their favorite thing. I remarried. I have a beautiful blended family. And now I coach others to increase their performance, pay, and happiness. So, what I want you to know by this is A, that it's possible. And so, I'm going to show you a couple other receipts so you know it's not just me, that it works for my clients as well. And so the first one talks about one of my clients who just got a new job offer for 500K base, plus bonus, plus equity, plus a potential IPO. And so she actually is retiring her husband, which is so exciting, right? But when we first started working on it, she goes, I'm okay with like going backwards a step and just easing my way out into retirement. And so if that's ever you, if you're wondering like, but it's nice right now, it's pretty cush, like I could just stay here. Do I really want to go for it? And some of my clients are like, I've got 3 to 5 years left, or I've got 7 years left. Do I really want to start something new? What I will tell you is that when you start something new, it can be fun and it can be exhilarating, and you can find out what you're made for. You can blow your own damn mind with what's possible. And that's what Angela did there. And she actually just recorded a podcast with me telling her whole story. So you can hear directly from her. That's coming up soon. The second one is from Scott, who is a CFO. And the thing that I loved about working with him is that he came in for career purposes completely. But his favorite piece of it was that it changed his relationship with his kids. And so I'm the one coach that I care about your entire life. I want you to be a high performing and happy executive. And in today's webinar, I'm going to show you exactly the four things that you need to do and give you a tangible way that you can do that immediately in each of the four core areas. And finally, I just got a $24,000 raise. I know this wouldn't have happened without you, but my favorite win is how we restructured my evenings to have time with my kids and my spouse and myself. And that's the kind of life-changing work that this performance and happiness formula does. So let's jump into it. Here is exactly why leaders get stuck in middle management. And I want you to understand this. There's a few different ways that it can happen. And I envelop them all into something I call the tragedy of the high performer. So as I talk about this, I want you to let me know if any of this sounds familiar. And just give me a 5 if you can relate to it, okay? So, first of all, you come into a new role and they give you a plate of work. And let's say your plate of work has some salmon, some asparagus, and some rice on it, and you want to really shine in your new role and show them how good you are with it. So as soon as they say, "Hey, Tom is kind of struggling with his salmon. Do you think you could help out a little bit?" What do you say? You could, heck yeah. Yeah, of course we want to help. Of course we want to shine. Of course we want to show them how good we are. And so we say yes. And then guess what? They love us for it. And they're like, okay, great. She's a high performer. I like her. And you might get promoted. You might get bonuses. You might get a lot of praise. They're like, oh my God, this new person is here and just like showing us what is possible. And like, I love their energy. And then they say, you know what? Tom is actually now struggling with his rice. Do you think you could help with that? Of course I can. Of course I can. Right. And then they say, "Oh, also, Paula is kind of struggling with her asparagus. Could you take that too?" And you go, "Yep." But by then you're getting more and more work, but the promotions and the pay aren't coming as quickly. Does that resonate? Yeah. And over time, it just keeps happening and it keeps happening. And here's what it ends up looking like. You got Tom over here who now has a little tiny plate. And you still see that he's getting paid the same amount as you? Has anyone ever seen that happen before? Like, they barely do anything. How are they a level above me? I remember being so frustrated by that. And so here's what it ends up looking like. You end up being this guy on the right with 17 platters trying to carry them around, right? And it's absolutely exhausting. And now it's hard just to even keep up with your day to day work. And you used to be seen as the highest performer ever. And now they're like, I don't know. I don't know if I can give her the next thing. She seems pretty busy. Or tell me if you've ever heard this before. I couldn't let her go. I'd have to replace her with 3 people. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. What ends up happening is they put you into the role of the doer. Now you're this amazing executor that they need. You're the jack of all trades. You volunteer for everything. You help with everything. You're so efficient. You're something that I call easier than Google. Easier to bring it to you and let you solve the problem for them than them even trying themselves. And so they keep piling on, they keep piling on, they keep piling on, and yet you're not getting those bonuses and those raises at the same rate. So here's what it looks like. Most leaders think they are stuck because it's a bad company, it's a bad boss, people are taking advantage of them. They just haven't had their big break yet. But really, it is because of the tragedy of the high performer. What got you here will not get you there. And so we have to break some of the habits that got us into the over delivering, that got us into the volunteering and then being voluntold into things. And we have to start being seen as a strategic leader. And so you're actually stuck and exhausted because you're missing some executive skill sets, because you have a lack of image and exposure, because you have a lack of emotional regulation and energy, and because you're still thinking like the 95%. And so I'm going to take you through each of these 4 areas: results, relationships, rituals, and mindset today. And I'm going to give you an area on each one that you can go implement immediately. Sound good? All right. So, um, I want to show you what can happen in a before and an after of these 4 steps. So, this is a cool case study with Ambrosia. She was a VP healthcare leader, and she literally hadn't taken a lunch in 7 years. She felt drained when she came home to her family, and her CEO came to me saying that she needs to improve her executive presence, being concise and strategic. So I work with a lot of leaders that come to me and say, I'm sick of waiting on my company and I'm ready to invest in myself. And if that's you, I honor that with a 50% discount. And I also work with companies directly as their executive coach. So in her case, her CEO was involved with creating her development plan. And so those were the areas that he wanted to work on. And so after learning results, relationships, rituals, and mindset, here's what she was able to take from it for her personal situation. For results, it was really around learning executive essentialism: what matters, what doesn't, and letting everything else fall out. What actually makes the biggest difference for the bottom line and for the company. Relationships was a lot around boundaries. If anyone has a team that just kind of interrupts them all day, every day, give me a five. Feel like as soon as I try to lock in and get something done, somebody calls, somebody slacks, somebody needs me, somebody teams, right? Like, or it's not even like your team members. Sometimes it's your peer groups and like sideways that are just always bugging you, or if you have a really needy boss. At one time, I was blessed enough to have a boss that I had 2 bosses. Has anybody ever had 2 bosses before? It's a lot of fun, right? In a matrix organization, and one of them was an early bird and would start emailing me at 4 in the morning. The other one was a night owl, and I'd get emails until 1:30. And so it just felt like being constantly on. And so one of the areas that we worked on with Ambrosia is really around those boundaries so that you can figure out what you need and how people can interact with you, how they can respect your time, how they can come prepared and win, and kind of designing the structure for all of that. And then finally, as results, this is probably everyone's favorite module coming in. It's executive systems, strategy, and storytelling. So most of us know really well how to create a project and get things done within our team. This is the executive view. This is, how do I talk to the CEO and the board about it? How do I talk to my boss about it? How do I keep everyone on the senior team aware of what my team's priorities are, why, the value of them, and exactly where we are? And this is just so powerful, not only for their visibility up front, but then they know what you're working on and they're more likely to leave you alone because they don't want to mess with that. And so it gets you to get out of that being the dumping ground because you're always happy to help and you're so skilled that they can give you anything. And instead, they start to actually protect your time. Say, no, I know what that team's working on and I don't want them distracted. So let's give it over here to Tim, right? So that can be really helpful. The other thing I love about that module is that it helps you to be able to be seen as a leader that can go to any other team. So I know they're strategic. I know how they manage. Always have clear visibility. So I could take that skill set and plop it into any other team, any other project, any other level. And I know that they know how to run a strategic business. Make sense? All right, let's jump into the promotion playbook. First is results. These are the 3 modules that you must have to be a high performing and happy executive. The one I'm going to talk to you about today and give you something you can use immediately is around executive presence. So, has anyone ever seen an eager Eddie in a meeting? It's like the guy who's leaned all the way forward in his chair and he just keeps going, just trying to get a word in edgewise. Has anybody seen one of those? Give me a five if you've seen an eager Eddie before in a meeting that is just waiting to jump in and say something, like they can't control themselves, right? Well, that often comes from this need to prove. And when you feel like you don't have an earned seat at the table, when you don't feel completely confident inside, then you feel like you do have to show up to that meeting and prove. And I think we all have a little version of the eager Eddie. And so there's 3 different types that it can come across as depending on their style. And so the first is aggressive. We've all seen somebody that just kind of feels like they're taking over the meeting because they keep talking, keep jumping in, right? The second one is that they just seem really young, almost like the intern vibe. They just don't know yet business acumen, when to speak, when not to. So they're just excited and jumping in. And then the third is probably to me the worst. And it's when you just seem really desperate. It's like desperate to prove. right? I want you this week to just watch your conference rooms, and it doesn't even matter if you're on Zoom or if you're in person. And I want you to look for that eager Eddie. And then I want you to ask yourself if you could ever come in a room looking like that. Because when we look at a CEO in a meeting, the CEO is going to be sitting back in their chair, relaxed. They're going to be listening to everyone else at the table. They have nothing to prove. And so their focus is on figuring out what is the best decision for the company. Their focus is not, can I sound smart? What will people think of me in this meeting? And so, one of the things that we do before we go into these meetings, we want to give ourselves sufficiency. And there's a ton of neuroscience behind this. When we can make our soul calm, it will absolutely change how we show up. And so, in this situation, you're actually going, before you go into the meeting, you're going to spend 2 minutes. Actually, let me do a time check. We can go ahead and we'll go ahead and try this right now. Okay. So, what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes and you're going to put your hands on your lap and you're just going to breathe in and breathe out real quick. Breathe in and breathe out. I want you to release any tension that's in your body. And then we're going to find the words that help us feel good. And we're going to remind ourselves I have infinite value as a human. This meeting is not a big deal. They invited me because they want to hear from me. I'm happy to take questions. I know my material, I know my subject. And if there's a question they ask me I don't know, I'll just find out. And now I want you to think about going into that meeting, feeling confident, feeling relaxed, and being curious. And I want you in your mind to just imagine walking in the room with confidence, a smile, shoulders back and relaxed, taking up space. And I want you to think about how they receive the meeting. I want you to imagine, maybe there's some points of laughter in there. Maybe you're really good at starting out and saying, what would you guys like to work on today? Where would you like to start? Because I know I sent the meeting material out ahead of time. Here's my 2 goals for today. What else would you like to make sure we cover? And then I want you to just imagine the meeting wrapping up. And as the meeting wraps up, everyone is satisfied with your presentation and you feel really good and calm inside and proud of yourself, and proud of your presentation. And you have resolution into what the next steps will be. Now take another deep breath in with me and out. Once more. Now we'll come back together. So that exercise takes less than 2 minutes. Does anyone feel a little calmer inside after that? Yeah. Yeah. So what happens all day long is we go from stressful meeting to stressful meeting to stressful meeting, and our cortisol keeps going up, 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 up. And we carry with us the stress of that last pressure in meeting and that last person who was condescending in the meeting, right? And so just taking 2 minutes to center ourselves and then remind ourselves this is about figuring out what's best for the business. This is not my one moment. This is not my that fear of missing out. If I don't perform in this meeting, it's everything. No, it's not. So we just get to remind ourselves of some levity. It's not that serious. Make sense? All right. And when you're calm in your body, one of the things that we work on a lot in the Performance and Happiness Lab is that when we change our mindset, everything else falls in place. A lot of times people try to figure out the right hacks for everything. And if you can just give me the right process, then it will work. But actually, if you get your mindset right, you just automatically show up in a better way. You automatically make decisions easier, faster, and higher level. And so this is an example of that. Once you put yourself in the zone, of course your presentation is going to go smoother. Of course they're going to be more receptive because you're coming in trying to help the business with nothing to prove. All right. So, for results, the other two areas that we talk about is executive essentialism. And then I already kind of talked about the executive strategy, systems, and storytelling when I gave that example of ambrosia. So, so let's talk about relationships. And honestly, for women, this is usually the number one area on what's keeping them stuck in middle management. And it's the idea, tell me if you've ever heard this before, like, hey, we're going to put you on the list for next time. We're going to get you in the next round of the leadership development program. Or you say, hey, I just saw that John got a promotion. I didn't even know that role was available. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just kind of came up. Well, what would I need to do to be ready for the role next time? Oh, no, no, no. You're doing great. You're doing great. Just keep doing great and good things will happen. Anyone ever heard that before? Give me a five if you've ever heard that before. Yeah. I feel like we're kind of a 10. DRC times two. Yeah, Christy, Lisa. I think it's like it feels like being strung along and it's really annoying and it's just no real feedback, nothing to change, yet they don't choose you and it can be really frustrating. And so what we do inside the lab is really first, you're going to get very direct feedback from me. And a lot of people say that even the first couple of conversations with me, they get more feedback than they have from their leader in their entire career. And it's because leaders aren't always willing to give feedback, and women get even less feedback than men. And sometimes it's because they think we're sensitive or they just don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we just get a lot of positive accolades, but not the promotions. And I even remember working with a leadership group, and they're like, did you see, Shayla, how many women won the awards? It was like for sales awards or something. I'm like, yeah, but what I didn't see is how many women got the promotion and the pay. Right. And so I do feel like we're appeased a lot of times with like little bits, little bits, little bits. And so what is often missing is the relationship. So when I worked at Boeing, we called it the, the FBI. Has anybody ever heard of this before? It's like who gets promoted? It's the FBI. It's friends, brothers, and in laws. And I know that's what they talked about a lot, but I actually, when you break it down, here's what I think happens. I think everyone wants to be successful. And I think that when you want to hire somebody for your team, you want to find somebody that's you already know and trust that you like and is easy to work with and that you think will make you look good, right? Does that make sense? Is that tracking? Yeah. And so the problem is we're not always playing golf. We're not always at the bar grabbing a beer. I don't know if you guys dealt with this. I dealt with it a lot in my career where people said it would be inappropriate for me to like have lunch with a female colleague. It would be inappropriate for me to grab a beer with a female colleague. And my wife doesn't want me driving in a car with another female. Have you guys ever had any of these, like, men in leadership who say it's just not appropriate? One of the biggest things that I stood on around DEI was the idea that leaders have to give equal, opportunity for the informal networking and mentoring because we don't get that same exposure. If all the senior leaders are men and they're too scared to be in a room with a woman, then how are we gonna earn that trust? How are we gonna earn that credibility? How are we gonna learn from them and be able to see what their style is so that when a promotion comes up, they know who the hell we are and they know what we're capable of? So, this is what I want to tell you from being that HR leader in the room. I was a chief people officer and an HR leader for most of my career. And here's what happens in the room someone comes in and said, the hiring, we're in a lead team meeting. And Brian says, hey, just wanted to let you guys know that Scott's leaving. And here's the immediate sentence after that. Oh, really? Scott's leaving? That's a shame. Who do you think you're going to have replace him? See how quick that was? And then Brian's going to say, I think Doug. Doug told me he was ready for a VP role. And I think he is. And then everyone in the room goes like this Doug. I think Doug could work. Yeah, I think Doug works. Yeah. All right, cool. And then the meeting gets ready to adjourn. And what happens? Someone goes, oh, hey, HR is going to make you post the role. So make sure you post the role and obviously, let Doug know to go ahead and apply to it. But they're going to make you interview a few people, okay? Okay, okay. Brian says, okay, I'll do that. So then what happens is Claire sees that role and says, "Oh my God, I'm a perfect fit for that. I have all the right experience. I would be great at that role." And she applies. And she now has 45 minutes to unseat Brad. 45 minutes to show that she's a better candidate than the one that the entire leadership team, including the hiring managers, already said is who they want. Does that make sense? Yeah, so we can't get into the process at that point and expect the same results. We have to get in way earlier. We have to build the relationships proactively with the decision makers, with the mentors, with the connectors, with the promoters. And so that's what you build inside the Performance and Happiness Lab. I have very specific tools and training to help you create your own individualized plan to develop those relationships and built in time for you to do it. Sense? So, what I want you to do, this is something that you can take away right now and put in place this week. I want you to write down 3 people inside of your company that you will reach out to, and 3 people externally that you will reach out to this week. You can do this a variety of ways because I don't know your individual desire at this point. You can say, "Hey, I just wanted to catch up. I wanted to learn more about your company. I want to learn more about your team." Or you can be direct, know and declare what you want. I'm I'm hoping my next role is. I want my next role to be. And so I wanted to see if I could grab 15 minutes of your time to get some direction on what you think good next steps would be for me to be ready for that role. I love it when you know and declare. I want my next role to be this, but I'm not telling you I'm ready. I'm not telling you to hire me. I'm asking you to come up beside me and help me get whatever you think I need to be ready. Does that make sense? So you pull people into a partnership and they don't get adversary because some people get really like, "Oh my God, you think you're ready? You don't even know what it takes." And they get all defensive. And so instead, you're asking them to help coach you and guide you into what the right next steps would be. Now, you may come in and blow their socks off as they get to know you and they're like, "Oh God, she already is ready and I didn't even know it." But that's a way of making sure that you kind of approach it in a way that they don't get defensive. All right. So, also within the lab, we cover boundaries and we cover personal relationships because, again, I care about your entire life. So, this isn't just about work, it's about making sure that you are high performing and happy in all areas of your life. The one that I want to talk to you about today that most people don't realize is physical energy. Oftentimes, men are better at self care than women. Women come up with all of these reasons why we need to support other people and do things for other people. And so we give up our plans. Give me a 5 if you have ever made plans to do something with girlfriends or something relaxing, and then last minute you talk yourself out of it? Yeah, because we got some other responsibility, someone else we got to take care of, right? Yeah. And so what we talk about a lot in the lab is how we have to protect the asset. And you, my friend, are the asset. And so we have to know exactly what gives us energy and what allows us to flourish. And we have to pour into that. One of my clients, Ellie, talks about how she had seedlings, which this is not my thing, so I'm going to mess it up, right? But she had little seedlings that she was trying to grow. And the first season that she tried it, it didn't work. And then she's like learning, okay, well, it needs more light or it needs more sun. And then she found out it was growing too fast and the roots weren't strong enough. And so she ended up learning that she had to like add some fan so that they had resistance, so that they like had a struggle and had to grow stronger roots before they grew up. Wild, right? There's like so many different analogies we could take from that. But the whole point is look at the amount of time and attention that we find to figure out what makes seedlings healthy. But we often don't know our own personal playbook for what makes us healthy and energetic, right? So this is your time to slow down and say, wait, how do I create my personal recipe for health and energy? What is my personal recipe? And that's what we do inside of there. And so the reason it's really important, obviously, I care about your entire life and I want you to be happy. And why it matters at work is because if people think you're tired, do you think anybody at work can tell that you're tired? Can tell that you're overwhelmed at times? Anyone's willing to be vulnerable enough to share? Yeah. So if they can tell that, you know what goes through an executive's mind? She's not ready. I can't give her a bigger assignment. I can't give her a promotion because she can't handle what she has now. And I know that oftentimes we're thinking, yeah, but at the next level, I'll have a team. At the next level, I'll have more resources. At the next level, and we tell ourselves these things. But what we don't realize is that if we don't look like we have the energy for it now, if we don't look like we're kind of like, yeah, I got this kind of easy, I've mastered it, then you're ready for the next level. If we look like it's hard, if we look like we're overwhelmed, they're going to keep you stuck in that position. Right. And so executive essentialism is a huge piece of this. I'll teach you how to work on what actually matters and how to assess it so that you can get rid of a lot. Physical energy matters too. You'll actually learn how to have more capacity, how to have more capability, how to have more actual energy in your day. All right. The next one is emotional energy. And that's, very similar that we go through these meetings and they're drama and people are condescending and people are whiny and we just like get kind of from it. That's that exhaustion that we feel when we walk in the door to our family, like we're just spent. And so we also learn how to address that. And there's a really fun podcast episode called Silly Little People. And it's about how silly little people do silly little things. And we don't let it take our peace and our energy. And so I teach you how to do that as well. And then finally, designing joy. And this is what I think DRC commented on is that just the idea of finding out like what can help you find more joy in two different areas. So we do the micro stuff every single day. I don't have it in front of me, but I have like a coffee cup I'm obsessed with and it makes me happy every day. Little tiny moments. When I'm driving and I see Texas Hill Country and I'm driving my kid to practice, I'm like, God, we live in a beautiful area. Right. So we learn how to have more appreciation in the small things, but then we also design in intentionally epic adventures. We ask ourselves every day, what's one thing I can do today to give myself joy? And we start to protect the asset. And again, my friends, you are the asset. So for this section, the tip I want to give you today, the tool is to ask yourself and write this down right now. What is one thing I can do today that will bring me joy? And feel free to share in the comments if you think of something. It could even be grabbing your favorite drink on your way home. It could be taking a walk at sunset. It could be reading for a few minutes. Yeah, walking your dog. What is one thing that you can do for yourself? And so we build on these until it just becomes who you are. And self care is now embedded in your daily life. And it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel selfish. And it does not get pushed aside because everybody else has needs. We get over that. And we feel really good about taking care of ourselves. And then we get to role model for other people and our children what it looks like to be healthy and happy and not over functioning. I'm going to move on to our final one, which is the 5% King mindset. Okay. So, inside of the King mindset, what I need you to know is that the most successful and the happiest people know how to manage their minds. And that's what you learn in here. So, the first thing that you learn is a framework that helps you understand any situation that ever happens in your life, why you're feeling the way you are, why you're getting the results that you are, and how to change it. It's one of the most life-changing tools that I've ever had, and it's called the model. And I just can't, in this short amount of time, possibly explain the power of it. But it allows you to change anything in your life. The second is high value cycles and low value cycles. And so we all have them. You're going to continue to go through them in your life. You're going to have sometimes where you're like flying high and you're feeling so good and you're in the flow. And then you're going to have other times where you feel like you're in a low value cycle. And what I'll teach you to do is to just not go down as far for as long. So we'll reprogram your brain to where you can fail without shame and to where you can have some type of negative emotion and you learn how to feel it, where you can face rejection, where you can do uncomfortable things and be okay with it because you know it doesn't change your value as a human. And I'll teach you how to have the confidence to fail. And when you do fail, how to not have shame about it. And that lets you get up and go so much faster. And then the final one is when to let go and when to take charge. So inside of this, we're going to learn when to let go and when to take charge. And so it reminds us of the power that we do have. And it reminds us how much shit we don't need to care about. And so we go through this pretty deep so that we can really unlearn a lot of modern life. The entire world has expectations for you. And this is something I think is really important for you to hear. So if you're multitasking, come on back. What I want you to know is that if we follow the prescription for women in 2026, if we follow the playbook, we will absolutely be exhausted. We will absolutely be sick. We will absolutely be sacrificing our health, our happiness, and we will make ourselves smaller. They want us to work like we don't have kids. They want us to mom like we don't have a job. And it is just unrealistic expectations. Sacrifice for everyone, take care of it, everyone. Does anyone feel like they're pretty heavy expectations we have today? Give me a five if you feel like you can feel like you're doing everything right and people still aren't happy with you. Yeah. So what we just do, and there's power in a group because the group helps you to know that it's okay. The group helps you have the confidence that you can change. We don't opt into that shit. We don't care what people expect out of us. We don't we don't opt in. So instead we figure out our own values, our own morals, our own vision for an extraordinary life. We don't follow the 95% rules because that always ends up bad. Instead, we design our own life the way that we want. And it takes a lot of courage because we're going against the grain, right? And what it does when you think about the let them theory is that we have to let people be disappointed in us. That's hard, right? We have to let people think we're doing it wrong. We have to let people misunderstand. And so that is my challenge for you today is what is one thing that you can let someone in your life be wrong about you? What's one person who you think they just don't get it? I have good intentions, or they don't get why I'm doing X or Y. Who is one person that you can just let them be wrong about you? Just stop thinking about it. Let them be wrong. It's okay. You know you. You know your values. You know why you're doing what you're doing. And it's okay for them to not get it. Make sense? All right. I love it. Let me show you one more fun example. And this is Ellie. And Ellie was told she should be grateful with a 3% raise. Has anyone ever gotten a raise like that and was told, well, not everyone even got a raise. You should be grateful with 3%? Yeah. So she knew she was exceeding expectations and not being rewarded for it. But at the same time, she felt imposter syndrome. So she's like, she called it like I had little girl communication tendencies. And I kind of wondered, should I just be grateful? Like I thought I killed it this year, but I'm not quite sure. And she lacked support from her circle. So she said she had a few friends who really got it and didn't have people to talk about kind of the high pressure environment that we have. So does anybody relate to that? I had a lot of friends that either stayed home or were teachers or even worked in corporate but weren't at the level that I was at and didn't understand that pressure. Didn't know what it was like to be on 24/7. Didn't know what it was like to, have to get a presentation to the board or the CEO or to travel all the time. And then also that I couldn't brag to. So has anybody ever had something like amazing happen and you're like, "Who can I tell? Just got a six-figure bonus. I can't tell my friend that's struggling with finances, and I can't tell this other person that thinks I'm greedy for not being a stay-at-home mom, and I can't tell somebody else who doesn't get it because 'cause they'll think I'm bragging." Yeah, so one of the things I absolutely love about the PH Lab is it's a room full of other women who get it. Other women that are like, "Hell yeah, we're so proud of you." And that it's okay to say, "I am grateful and I want more." That's our saying. "I'm grateful and I want more." And so Ellie said that she was really struggling with having a few people that she could talk about both her challenges and her wins with. And so for her, we worked on for under results, executive presence and storytelling so that she could come across as a strategic leader. For relationships, it was really around executive networking, and she nailed this. She started where she's in security and compliance, and so she started meeting with CISOs and CEOs and built just an amazing network very quickly. And then under rituals, it was all of them: physical, emotional, and cultivating joy, because she hadn't been protecting herself as the asset. And then mindset, we worked on the model, silly little people, and let go and take charge. So you can see below her outcome. So she increased her base by 45K. That was just her base. Her bonus improved as much, even more. And she 10x'd her happiness. That's how she worded it. I love that. She said she walked into her new role with executive presence and confidence, and immediately people went to her for guidance. That was one of the fun things is we change how you see yourself. And then when you get into a new environment, people perceive you completely differently. And so one question I get asked a lot is, do I have to want a new job or a new company to work with you? And not at all. Some people stay in their exact same role and they feel completely different. And some people are only wanting an internal promotion. So whatever it is for you, as long as you are somebody who would say, I'm grateful and I want more. Somebody who says, I want to be in the 5% club. I want to get more money and more titles and love my whole freaking life. Like that sounds good, Shayla. If that's you, or I already have this amazing role and this amazing pay, but it's hard and I want it to be easier. Any of those are fine. Um, and then she really did a great job of building intentional relationships, protecting her energy with daily rituals. And she is just amazing at saying, here's what I want based on my values, and very clear, easy decision making now in every aspect of her life. So she says, the sky's the limit. I see more potential in myself and my life than I ever thought possible. Love that. Okay. So here's the deal. You have a choice. You can stay in the tragedy of the high performer and be kind of underlooked, or you can make the change and have me as your guide to do it, which I would love to be, and get a network of people who get it and help you succeed. And so it's possible for you. I hope you saw this through not only my example, but the examples of many clients as well. It's higher level roles with less stress, more money, and more influence, luxurious amounts of time for what matters most. You can be fully present at work and at home. And this is the fun part. You can feel alive again, not just productive, not just surviving the day to day. So, all you need is a system. You've seen the problem and the solution. I want to show you the system and the program that I built for you so you don't have to do it alone. So, it is called the Performance and Happiness Lab, and it's everything you need to be a high performing and happy executive. And it covers all four of the categories we just went through: results, relationships, rituals, and mindset. So I'm going to show you what the flow looks like in the program and answer any questions that you have. We are opening it right now, and you're able to actually have a decision call with me so that we can talk about your unique way. And so, your unique situation. This is your chance to book a decision call with me. And inside of the call, what we're going to do is it's only 15 minutes long. I know you're busy. We do everything fast around here. And so, you're going to tell me what's going on at work or at home and exactly what you're trying to improve. You tell me what you want next, if it's title, if it's money, if it's confidence, and then I'll give you honest feedback on if I think the lab is the right next step for you. I'll reflect back what I'm hearing and give you something immediate that you can use. And then you'll be able to know if this is the right decision for you or not. So go ahead and book that call now. Let's talk about what the program actually is. So this is what's covered inside the PH Lab. It's exactly what those modules are. I just want to kind of let you see how it's laid out. So every single month, we're going to do one from each category. We're going to do a mindset, results, relationships, rituals, and then you're going to have a week of reflection and implementation. And so this is exactly the skills that you need to be a high performing and happy executive. And that is the program. But since I spent 20 years in leadership development, I know exactly what executives need. And so I'm going to walk through how I created the container of the lab to fully support you so that it's not one more training that you just went to and then never actually implemented. So let me talk to you a little bit about what that looks like. So, the first thing that I know is that when you go to a class that has online modules and you don't get to actually interact with the trainer, then you don't get to get coached on your personal situation. So I heard what you said, I went and applied it, and now I'm stuck and I don't get that help. And so I added in hot seat coaching. So you're going to get those modules online on demand. You can watch whenever you want. And then every Tuesday, we're going to have a call. I'm going to further teach and go even more into detail into the subject. And then I'm going to turn it over for hot seat coaching. This is your chance to raise your hand and you're going to get live, real answers to your personal situation. In addition, the thing that I love about hot seat coaching is sometimes your peers will come up with things that you haven't even thought about that you're like, oh my God, I could totally apply that. I hadn't even thought about that angle. And so there's so much magic that happens inside of the hot seat coaching. So let's talk about the next thing that I saw that went wrong with training programs and how I built it into this container. So the next thing that I saw is that I myself went to some extraordinary trainings. And then I told myself, when I get back to the office on Monday, I'm going to put the whole plan together and I'm going to implement it all. Give me a five if anybody's gone through this before. And then you get back to work on Monday and what happens? You have the fullest inbox. So many people need you. And then you just don't get around to implementing the things that you wanted. Has that happened to anybody here before? Yeah. So for that reason, I put together built-in implementation. And so you're actually going to have pre-scheduled on your calendar every week a Future Fridays call. And this call is so cool. It is built for you to log in. It's going to sound weird and it's amazing. You're going to log into the system. You're going to come off camera and you're going to work independently for 30 minutes. Every week, depending on what subject we have, I give you an evolve work assignment for that week. And it's something that you can immediately apply. It's something like, I want you to create 3 coffee chats. And so you're going to use that 30 minutes to book the coffee chats with the people you're going to meet with and to think about how you want to open that call, how you want to end that call, and to make sure that you feel really comfortable with the format. So that's your built in implementation time every week. Now, at the 30-minute mark, you're going to come back on camera and you're going to have built in networking time. So, this was super intentional that I added to the design of the program as well. And it's because I've been in programs where they say it's all about networking, but you get online and you're training. And as you're training, the trainer talks the whole time, but you never get a chance to interact at all with the other peers in the group, right? And so this is built in networking time. Now, this network is worth the price of the program alone. The network is going to be with other senior female leaders and a few good men that want to give and get value. It's your chance to show up as the next level version of yourself as an executive, and it's your chance to be vulnerable and say, I'm getting ready to present to the board. I've never done that before. Does anyone have tips for me? Or my boss keeps giving me all of this office housework. How do you get out of it? Or, God, I know Shayla's making us do these calls this week and I'm really nervous. Can we role play? Can we pretend we're having one of these networking calls? And so you'll get to build that network and everyone here wants to open doors for you. You're now going to know people across industries, across roles that want to help and want to celebrate all of your wins. So we had someone who was interviewing during the last lab and ended up landing her dream job while she was in it. And it's so fun that along the way, she had this whole team of cheerleaders and supporters to help her. Okay. And then the final thing that I wanted to make sure was part of it was on demand recordings, worksheets, and executive tools. So these are tools that you will get that you can download and keep and use for the rest of your life. As you can probably already tell, I like to work on the things that are going to dramatically move things quick and I lose all the fluff. So these are going to be very simple tools that you can apply to increase your results, relationships, rituals, and mindset. And they're all yours to keep for a lifetime. So here's the summary everything you get inside of the lab. It's 12 modules of executive training and coaching, live weekly teaching and hot seat coaching, a peer cohort of ambitious leaders, all the tools, templates, and frameworks you'll use forever, that embedded implementation time, and a proven system for performance and happiness. And so in the program is $10,000. But as I said earlier, if you are one of those people that are ready to invest in yourself and sick of them telling you one more year, next round, and you're willing to invest in yourself, then I honor that with 50% off. And so it's only $5,000 if you're investing in yourself. And I also offer a 3-pay if that's helpful. So you can directly purchase it. But what I recommend is that you get on that call with me. Let me meet you. Let me learn about your unique situation. Let me answer a few questions. So the lab starts on March 30th. The enrollment ends on March 17th. Okay, so that's one question that's asked. What roles typically inside of the PH Lab? It's directors, it's VPs, it's C-suite. We do also have some doctors and attorneys and surgeons in there as well. Anyone who's a professional that wants to learn and hone more business skills and learn these skills that will help you be happier in life. Other questions that we've gotten. Yeah, let me take you through kind of the weekly flow so that you can see what that looks like as well. So every week inside the PH Lab, you get a simple structure that's designed for real growth. Before I go through this, here's what I want you to know. The number one question I get is, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. How on earth would I have time for more? And so I'm asking you for 2 hours a week. And you'll hear if you listen to the podcast that has the three women that just came out of the lab, they were all nervous about the same thing. Like, how do I add one more thing? And all of them said that their life feels so much more relaxed. They have so much more time back since they joined the lab. And very intentionally, one of your first modules is around executive essentialism. So I'll teach you how to get hours back in your calendar. Right. And so you're going to get first a pre-recorded module. So all of those subjects have modules that you can go back to again and again and again. And so you can watch them whenever you want so that it's really like top of mind for you. If you have a big presentation, you can watch the executive presence one. And so those will be already there ahead of time for you. And if you sign up today, you actually get access to all of the modules within 24 hours. So we'll get you set up in the portal and you'll have access to everything within 24 hours of enrollment. And then we'll actually start with immersion week on March 30th. And that's for 1 week where we kick it off strong. Because you guys will get this idea from working with me, but I like to move fast and get you real results immediately. So, week one, I give you an immersion week where we're going to meet over lunch every day for 5 days. And we're going to assess where you are with results, relationships, rituals, mindset, and get you a chance to get going immediately on something that will help you. And so, you're going to get access to all of that before we kick off, all the modules before we kick off, if is within 24 hours of enrollment. And then here's what every week looks like. So you'll have those pre-recorded modules. You'll also get a live weekly call. So every Tuesday from 12 to 1, we're going to get on the call and I'm going to teach live the subject for that week and then I'm going to open it up to that hot seat coaching. So you can ask questions on anything that you want. And then every Friday, you're going to be in that Future Friday call. That's the one again where I said is 30 minutes of your personal implementation time and 30 minutes of you actively building a powerful network. And not only will these be women that can open doors for you, they'll also become amazing friends. And so it's just the best network, the best place I think that exists in the marketplace for a corporate leader. And so that is what your flow will look like. You'll watch a module, you'll come to the class with me, you'll get coached, and then you'll go implement. I give you the evolve work, the exact one step to take. It is not big, it is not cumbersome, it is not complicated, but it's powerful and it's real, and you actually get results from it immediately. And then you'll build the network, and then we'll come back the next week and we'll do it again. And then as you saw in that schedule, every time we go through 4, we're going to have 1 week where it's just around giving you a chance to implement, to reflect on the work from that month, and to be able to digest it even deeper. So we give you that break and then we jump into the next month. Okay. By the end of it, you're going to walk away with that personalized promotion playbook. You'll walk away with your executive relationship plan, your rituals blueprint. So you know exactly what makes you have energy, what makes you healthy and happy, and a new 5% self concept as a leader. So the imposter syndrome is gone. You have the confidence for an executive role at work, and you have the confidence to set boundaries and take care of yourself and love your whole freaking life at home. And I'll roll it on over to a few more results examples so that you can kind of see what you can expect out of the lab. So, promoted in 3 months after being stuck for 3 years. Nothing else had worked, but Shayla taught me how to know and declare what I wanted, how to network, and how to be seen. This one's fun. 90K raise, and I actually like my job now. So, this is one of my clients who felt like She had grown up in the company, so they kinda still treated her like an intern. She'd been there over 10 years and had a global role, but they still treated her like she was an intern. And so she ended up taking another role with a competitor, 90K more overnight, just like that. And when she got there, everyone really respected her experience and just treated her in a whole new light. And she was ready for it because she had that executive presence and confidence by the time she joined the company. I love this one. This was for somebody who stayed in their same role, but now they said that I feel calm when I talk to my board and my CEO. I'm present at working at home and my whole life is better. And then I love the I am joyful. We're always trying to add more joy. I'm prepared and I'm in control. And the best version of me I've ever been. I just really want you to know what is possible and that it doesn't have to be this hard. So, a few other questions that we commonly get. Can I join if I'm a senior manager? Yes, you can. Let's get on a call. Let's talk. As long as you think that you'll take this seriously, you'll show up, you're ready for an executive level role, then we can let you in at a senior manager role. So, what this isn't though, it's not designed for entry level. It's not designed for people who want to be a supervisor for the first time because you're going to get this amazing cohort of peers who are serious women leaders who take their role seriously, who take their careers seriously, who take their dreams seriously. And so we want to be able to give and get feedback and value at a similar level. And so if you have been at a manager or senior manager role and you know you're ready for the executive role, then yes, let's still talk. Let's get scheduled. And that this is probably a perfect fit for you, but just get on the phone with me and we'll confirm. And then, okay, what actually happens in immersion week? Okay, so in immersion week, I've got a slide for that. It helps you kick off with a week focus to help you get crystal clear on your next level vision. A lot of people say, I don't know what I want next. And so I'll wait to start until I do. This is one of the best ways to work with a coach is that I help you with decision making and seeing what all is possible. So we'll create that next level vision together. And then we'll identify the exact areas that for you personally that are going to drive the biggest amount of improvement in the performance and happiness formula. And then we're going to jumpstart your momentum before the first module even starts. So you'll get to know everyone in the group. You'll start building that trust in those relationships. You'll get to know me better, and we'll give you energy and excitement for what's to come. And so, um, yeah, another thing to kind of note, like this is not a teaser course. It literally gives you everything you need to elevate your results, relationships, rituals without burnout. The 12 core executive skills. All right, my friends, go ahead and book your decision call, 15 to 20 minutes. We'll get to talk one on one. It's the best way for you to know. Because what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to be on the fence. I want it to be a clear yes or a clear no. If you have any thing that's keeping you on the fence right now that you want to question right now, I'm happy to answer it, or we can just jump on the call and talk then. All right. And then by the end of the lab, you're going to walk away with your personalized promotion playbook, your executive relationship plan, your rituals blueprint, a new 5% self concept as a leader, and the network. That network alone is worth the value. Okay. Reminder one more time of everything that you get. So, obviously, the modules are the performance and happiness formula. You're going to get all of those recorded. And in order to make this different than every other program, you're going to get weekly live training and hot seat coaching with me, direct feedback and real time breakthroughs. You're going to get peer led implementation and accountability sessions, tools, templates, and frameworks that you can download and use forever. And what I love about this is when people get a pay increase, when you get that promotion, when you make 40,000 more and you jump to the next role, you're not going to have the skill sets to show up differently in that role. And you're going to continue to get promoted faster and paid faster. And so this just has a great snowball effect for the amount of money that you can make. And y'all, I love helping women make a shit ton of money. Nothing bad ever happened from a woman making money. And so we focus a lot on it and we normalize being able to have the conversation to say, I want more. And so we are going to help you and give you everything that you need to get that promotion, to get that pay, but then to thrive when you're there. So, as part of that, you're going to get the peer led implementation and accountability sessions. You're going to get the tools, the templates, and the frameworks that you'll use forever. You're going to get that powerful professional network. It's your new cohort of 5%ers. So people like DRC will be your new friends, your new confidants, your new referral places. She's already gotten people. She works for McKesson and has already gotten people a conversation and interview there. We open doors for each other. It's what we do. It's such a cool, powerful room to be a part of, and you level up just from being in the presence of these badass women. And then we already talked about immersion week. That's going to kick you off with momentum. And then you're going to get that proven roadmap for your next level career and success. So, a few more testimonials. I'll see if there's any more questions. But again, book your call. Let's talk. Let me meet you one on one. Okay. So, yeah, Dr. Wendy Crossman. So she was on the podcast as well. You can hear her episode, but she is a vice president in aerospace. And she talked about how the work changed her relationship with stress. She said she used to dream about work. And so she stopped overcommitting. She started communicating clearly and learned that saying no makes me effective and got promoted while working less and less. What industries? Yeah, so that's a good question. So, who will be in the PH Lab? Female corporate leaders, a lot sometimes, we'll have a few good men, like male leaders with dual income families. A lot of times it's the same kind of concerns. I have the pressure of wanting to be present and helpful at home, and I wanna be great in my career, and I wanna know how to do both. And so it's mostly women, but a few good men join us as well, and we welcome them. And then there's a few doctors, attorneys, and surgeons that join as well. So if you are a senior level professional that wants more. And companies, so Coke, McKesson, Ernst& Young, NetApp, Safran, Molex, Spirit AeroSystems, Georgia Pacific, Kaiser, Wayfair, a lot of nonprofits, startups, companies you may not have heard before, but are still kind of a big deal. So this is the kind of network that you get as well when you join. And then let's talk about the levels. So, in industries, manufacturing, healthcare, aerospace, agriculture, technology, like it is so diverse. I got consultants, consumer goods, and of course, AI and data centers. Their roles span operations, HR, finance, strategy, supply chain, IT, marketing, and clinical leadership. So, just imagine if you had a regular day to day business need where you wanted to learn more about one of your peer groups. So I'm in HR, but I'm having this issue with my finance team. And now I've got a friend that's a senior finance leader that I can say, I don't understand this. How does it work? Like, I'm struggling with this. Why are they saying this? And you just get that network that allows for things to be easy and move really fast. So, what they all have in common is they run strategic initiatives, they lead big teams, they deliver under intense pressure, all while raising kids, managing households, and asking themselves, is it possible to be ambitious, be a great parent, and actually enjoy your life? And I can tell you for sure, my friends, it is. I absolutely love my life. And I mentioned earlier that just a couple of years ago, I had a freak medical accident and I ended up having strokes, seizures, heart failure, and a coma. I literally had to learn how to walk and talk again. And I now know what one life we have, how it could end at any time. And so I live the hell out of my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work, because I don't want anyone putting off their happiness. And I don't want anyone giving up on their ambition when I know both are possible. You can't wait until your kids are out of the house. You can't wait until, someday. You can have it now and you can enjoy the freaking process. You can feel the most alive you've ever felt. And because I personally went through this, I am like double downed on my mission to help other people have performance and happiness. So, just a little side note, that's why I'm so passionate about it. That's why I care so much, because I know it's possible. I love my whole freaking life. I have balance after having, a lot of health issues from overworking. I was a complete overworker for 2 decades, and I kind of ruined my body. I have 4 autoimmune diseases and I got really sick from it. And now I have turned my life around, and it got me to the C suite by 40 while working less and less and feeling happier and lighter. And so I want that for you too. And so that is why I'm so passionate about what I do. All right, let me see if we have any other questions. Our next cohort won't be for another 6 months. So, this is when you want to get in now if you want to see 2026 look and feel different. So, just imagine 6 months from now that you have the promotion, that you got the pay. Like, what would that actually change in your life? I talk about this a lot with my clients on just like how much of a life change it is to go from 130 to 175 or to go from 150 to 220 and having that ease from 220 to 300 and what it does when you're thinking about putting your kid in a private school or if your kid has all these club sports like mine do. I have 5 kids, by the way. And if you are wanting to think about what college your kids are going to go to and can you afford it? If you want to go out to dinner and buy your friends dinner and not think about it. If you want to go on vacations but take the luxury version. This is the kind of money that gives you that ease. It helps you think about elder care for your parents. It helps you think about what kind of house you want to live in. So it can be both practical. That gives you a lot of stress relief and makes you feel a lot calmer, and it can be fun. Like money gives us a chance to live life and do some really cool, fun things. And so that is what is possible for you. So just imagine in 6 months what would be different if you hit your goal. Yeah. Any other questions that you have, just jump on the call with me. We will go through it all and you'll be able to tell me your situation and then we'll just talk one on one. And I'll let you know if I don't think it's the right fit for you right now, I'll completely tell you. We are going to open up enrollment on March 12th. So March 12th to 17th is our real window. And I hope to see you in the Performance and Happiness Lab. It's time, my friends. The Performance and Happiness Lab is now enrolling for our spring cohort. So the dates of enrollment are March 12th through 17th. And if you join us for early enrollment, you're going to get a bonus one-on-one session with me if you join before March 12th. You can go on to shaylaking.com/phlab to find all the details and to book your decision call. This is a 15-20-minute call. You'll get on the call with me and we'll talk directly. You'll share with me exactly where you are in your career, in your life, what's working really, really well, and what you want more of and what you want less of. And I'll give you honest feedback on what I think could help get you unstuck and take you to the next level. And I'll let you know, honestly, whether I think the Performance and Happiness Lab is the right room for you based on your circumstances. So get on my calendar now, shaylaking.com/phlab, before it fills up. This is the room that every woman in corporate needs to be in if they want to be a high-performing and happy executive. I'll see you there. Thanks for joining me in the 5% Club today. If you're ready to make more, work less, and design a life you love, then go to shaylaking.com and join the waitlist. You'll be the first to know when there's openings to work with me in one-on-one coaching or the Performance and Happiness Lab, my group container where you will learn to be a high-performing, highly paid executive who loves your whole life. I'll see you there.